Thank you so much for tuning in. You are now watching Sacred Seat TV. Today we have a special guest here on the channel. Her name is Miss Sharon Price. And she's going to talk a little bit about her experience with her breast cancer diagnosis and what's happening in her life now that she's free of breast cancer. So I'm going to start off with an icebreaker. And give me a place that you would like to go that you haven't been yet and why.
A place that I would like to go that I haven't been yet would be
Mm-hmm.
maybe Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
Never been there, and I love the palm trees and the just good music, that good Jamaican music. I just like to
Yeah.
maybe visit some place like that. I've never been, and I always wanted to go maybe to Jamaica.
Could you talk to me about your medical diagnosis and how it all came to be?
Okay, I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer 2 years ago. Well, 3 years ago actually, but I had to do the
Mm-hmm.
treatments to become 2 year breast cancer free. So what happened was I missed 1 year mammogram, and I always
Mm-hmm.
like self examine myself. I never
Mm-hmm.
felt anything, but I always was my energy was just tired all the time. I was tired, like I
Mm-hmm.
was. That's one of the major symptoms that I had. I was just tired. So I
Mm-hmm.
called. They had scheduled me a mammogram. I was scheduled to do a mammogram. And what happened was I was finna put it off again because it was almost a year and a half before I had a mammogram. So the lady
Mm-hmm.
was like, you know what? It's breast cancer month. You need to come in and do your mammogram. And I was like, yes, ma'am. Since you said it like that, I will be there.
Okay, so when did you find out that your breasts were dense?
When they called me to come back in and do another mammogram, I had to do another one. And they told me that first one, um, it didn't really show too much, but something
Yeah.
was there. So they did
Mm-hmm.
a 3D mammogram on me, and that's when they found the lump that was there. So from the lump, I
Okay.
had to do a biopsy.
Is it something that you do now going forward to just request the 3D mammogram, knowing your
Yeah, I
situation?
would. If you have smaller breasts, I would request for a
Mhm.
3D mammogram. I waited on my results. I did. They didn't call me back, so I was like, "Well,
Mhm.
what is going on?" Nobody called me. So they called me while I was at work, and I actually was on my break. And they was like, "Well, Miss Sharon," the lady called me. She was like, "Well, I want you to talk to the nurse." The nurse gets on the phone. Let me let you talk to the doctor. So the doctor gets on the phone. I'm at work. I'm in the parking
Yeah.
lot turning in, and she say, "Well, we found the lump, and we need you to come back." That's why I say you got to advocate for your body because I have what you call dense breasts, so they were smaller breasts. So
Mhm.
it didn't really show up. All these years I was doing mammogram, it wouldn't really show up because I had smaller, dense breasts. So always
Oh,
ask for a
wow.
3D mammogram when you have smaller breasts. I did learn that. So
Mhm.
I got the
3D.
call.
Okay.
I did a
Mhm.
biopsy. I did a biopsy. The biopsy came back, and that's when I got the call telling me that
Okay.
it was cancerous.
That's
I
good to
was
know.
doing my self exams. I was doing all of that all the
Mhm.
time. I didn't
Mhm.
feel a lump. But that
Hmm.
3D mammogram with smaller breasts, that's why I say, please advocate. I tell any female that has smaller breasts, ask for a
Mhm.
3D mammogram.
Well, that's very useful and helpful information, Miss Sharon. Thank you for sharing that. So then, when the people called you and you were at work,
I was at work.
how did you feel after you got off the phone with them?
I came back inside, and
Mhm.
my friend, which is she's my best friend, Alexis, and
Mhm.
I just saw Alexis and I just cried and I was like, I got my results and I have cancer. And
Mhm.
I talked to the HR. She came, everybody came, and I thought I was gonna die. I was like, I'm dying. That's all I could think about. And I was gonna die. I hadn't seen the doctor. I didn't know what stage. I thought I was dying. Yeah, I just had to cry and until I got my results. Until I went to the doctor to find out what
Mhm.
stage it was in. That whole week was just horrible for me.
Yeah. Well,
It
it's
was,
beautiful that they all gather around you and were able to support you in like your
yeah.
moment of crisis. So I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
pretty awesome.
I have four
Mhm.
brothers, four sisters. So when they found out, everybody was calling each other. We gotta go. They call me Kiki. My nickname is Kiki. We gotta go check on
Uh-huh.
Kiki. So my whole family just gathered around me and gathered. Everybody came over, my son and everybody just gathered
Oh,
around me and just prayed for me. So that's how my journey
oh,
began
okay.
through the cancer that I found out I had breast cancer.
A lot of times when people get those diagnoses, that's all they need is just somebody to be there to just listen to
Yeah.
them, or even just be there. Like even if they don't have anything to say, just to sit with them.
Oh yeah.
You just need that support. And then us as women, like we are communal beings, so we have to have our support circle. I think, a lot of the support that you had
Uh
probably
huh.
may have aided in, the outcome of the situation for the better
Yes.
for you. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. Okay, so we talked about your symptoms. Did you have any other initial symptoms besides just being tired?
No, not really. Just my vitamin D level was low. I do know that.
Mm,
I became
mm.
vitamin D deficiency. So I was taking I
Okay.
got put on a vitamin D pill.
Was the fatigue kind of like you being pregnant, tired? Was it
Yeah,
that
like
type of
that. Like
tired?
really drained after work. All I did want to just come and lay down and go to sleep. I was just that
Right.
tired.
Mhm.
So it just I'm really I at first I questioned God, like why me, why me, Lord, why me. Now I see
Mhm.
my purpose. Why not me?
Mhm.
Why? I don't want it. I hate to see people go through this what I've been through, but I try to tell them you can't give up. You gotta keep fighting. Never give up.
Yeah.
Never
So how
ever.
do you think that you having had breast cancer, been through all the medical treatments, everything has impacted your life for the greater, like coming out on the other side?
Now I see my purpose in this. At
Mhm.
first, like I said, I questioned everything, but now I see my purpose. It
Mhm.
it makes me want to help other people. I even started a small business, Gifted Blessings by Kiki, to bless somebody, put a smile on
Oh,
somebody's
that's sweet.
face. Just seeing that, I know when I was doing treatments
Mhm.
and I go into the cancer center and I know we got to get hooked up to the machine to get the chemo. And I had these
Mhm.
nice pink, pretty blankets, and
Mhm.
I see everybody else. They give you a blanket, but it wasn't pink. Now that's what I
Yeah.
want to do. And I walk in, I see somebody needed a blanket, I give them my pink blanket. So that's what I've been doing, like really helping other people out with just small little gifts, So people been
Yeah.
purchasing my gifts just to give to somebody who's doing treatments. You get a pair of socks, breast cancer socks. You get a journal to write down everything. It's just a
Oh,
blessing. So I came out on top to see I see my purpose in all of this, and I don't even question God. I did at first
mhm.
because at my last treatment, my dad passed away, and he really was a praying warrior for me,
Mhm.
and I couldn't, like, why you took my dad on my last treatment, and I had to go in the cancer center and do my last treatment, knowing my dad had just passed away. So it just
Mm.
made me be a stronger person. And it makes
Yeah.
me want
So
to put a smile on somebody else's faces. And since I've been going through this journey, I it's about 4 people that I know has got breast cancer since in the last couple of months. If it's not breast cancer, it's other kind of cancers, ovarian cancer, lung cancer. So
mhm.
I give some gifts are free that I give to people.
Mhm.
Some you have to pay for them, but I try to. I just want to put a smile on your face. If God did it for me, He could do it for you.
I know that's right, Miss Sharon. We gonna come back to that. But I wanted to ask a question of something that you said earlier. When you said that you did the radiation and the chemo. Can you talk about the differences for those of us that haven't been through anything like that? Can you talk about the differences between the 2?
Well, the chemo is just a drug. I took the one that's called. They call it the red devil because it's red going inside of your veins. It's red, and that's the one that I took. And I remember the girl was first giving me the chemo. The nurse, she was telling me and my son what all was gonna happen, and she was like,
Mhm.
light skin. That's what she called me. You're gonna turn dark. That's how she told me. Your fingernails is gonna be dark. Your toenails are gonna get dark. She was just telling me all of these things that was gonna happen to me.
Mhm.
Luckily, none of that happened to me. I got a little shade darker, which I don't mind doing that. And it's just the idea that I had to face all of that. Yes, all of my hair
Mhm.
fell out. I remember
Oh
waking up
wow.
in the morning. They told me to go ahead and shave it. But I remember waking up in the morning with the back of my hair in the bed. I remember all of that. Like, oh my God, what is going to happen to me? And I had to look in that mirror and say, Sharon, you are beautiful. You are still beautiful. You're a beautiful young lady. And God is going to bless you and keep blessing you. And the radiation, I had to do 7 weeks, 5 days a week. I did that for 7 weeks, 5 days a week. And it didn't really do me too bad. It kind of burned a little bit on this side, but put some cream on it and I was just fine. I was just happy to
Mhm.
go move to that next step. And I know after chemo is radiation, and then I know I'll be good. And God had already walked that journey for me. He had already, and I felt
Oh
good about it. I really did. That's why I tell people, please don't give up. Don't give up.
yeah, don't give up, y'all. So I think it's important though that you talk about like your mindset going through it, and because it sounds like in your mind you had already, come to terms with the fact that okay, I have breast cancer, but I need to do
Yeah.
these things to like get rid of it, and that it will go away. So,
Yeah.
what do you think helped with you keeping that mindset throughout the process of it?
This sign here, faith over fear. I
I
had to
know
put
that.
my
Right.
faith over my fear because my fear, I have anxiety really bad. And so my faith had to, I had to like, my mom prayed for me. Like I said, my dad, my sisters, and my brothers. But I
Mm,
had to really gather that faith, even if it's a small faith of a mustard seed. Sometimes I was like, oh my God, it's gonna come back. Even right now, I have anxiety about it. I go to the doctor about any little thing. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm going to check on myself. I learned to do that. So I really, really, really had to put that faith over my fear and really get on my knees and ask God to really help me and guide me through this journey.
right, right. I'm over here laughing because I can relate to being anxious about something coming back with the fibroids and all that. Even though at
Yeah.
this point I don't even have the part for them to come back, but I'll still be scared. And that's just a part of having anxiety, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
We here, we moving through, and so that's
Yes.
all that matters. As long as we get to point A to point B, we doing good.
Oh, yes.
All right, so yes, that faith over fear component speaks to me in the sense that having anxiety means that a lot of times you do have to bring your faith with you when you go
Yes.
in like certain situations.
And I gotta
Right.
say, when they tell you to start, oh, get your mammogram when you're 40. I met girls 38 stage 4 breast cancer. Didn't have no symptoms. So that's why I say go
Wow.
get your mammograms. Do not skip. Every year go get a mammogram. And if you have smaller breasts, to ask for a 3D mammogram.
Okay.
Yeah, stage
Okay.
4 breast cancer, and they're in their 30s. And here I am in my
Yeah.
50s. And yeah, and don't skip a year. Always go get your mammogram. Always.
Okay.
Because I didn't have the only pain I had was after the biopsy. And they
Mhm.
they snatched the tissue out to do the biopsy. That's when I
Mhm.
felt the pain and I could feel the lump after the biopsy. But other than that, I never felt
Wow.
anything. Just was tired and my vitamin D was low. That's the only two things I had.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the part about when you called and you were getting ready to tell them, oh no, I'm coming next time.
Yeah.
The lady was like, no, it's breast cancer. But I believe in divine alignment, and I feel like that
Hmm.
happened in order
Yeah.
for you to go get the test that you needed because God knew He wanted to use you to be like an advocate and share your story to people. So it's beautiful how things all happen. It might suck in the moment and like when
Yeah.
you're going through, but hindsight, that like they say, is always 2020. And when you look back, you be like, oh, I get it. Going back to the self advocating piece. So we've talked about that also here on the channel, like how to advocate for yourself in the medical setting.
Yeah.
Um, could you talk about how you advocating for you helped your situation and any important instances that pop up in your mind where you had to like take for yourself and speak up
Yeah.
for yourself?
Like I had a friend went to the doctor and she was just telling them this how I feel. I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling weak. I'm having pain, and it was ovarian cancer. I'm feeling pain here, and they brush you off. Oh, you'll be okay. Just take some aspirins, but advocate for your body. Even if you're having pain in your breast, I say advocate because that's your body. Is nobody's gonna advocate for your body like you're gonna tell them this is what I have. Don't ever let a doctor just brush you off and say, well, okay, even if you got a cold, if you know you're this cold is unusual, it's something
Mm-hmm.
wrong with my body. It's something. You can't just let someone send you home and just give you a Tylenol or write a little prescription.
Mm-hmm.
No, tell them I need an ultrasound. I need a 3D mammogram. I need all of these things. You got to advocate for your body. You
Right.
have to. Don't let nobody send you home. You just fall out. Don't ever do that. Ever.
Tell them, Miss Sharon. Tell them, Miss Sharon. Okay, so I saw in like a previous interview that you did with a nice gentleman that I know. And you talked about how you would go in and see the other ladies that were younger than you, and you guys would be talking, and like you find out that they're young. So besides you finding out their age, what other conversations were you having with the other women in the treatment room?
Yeah, I was just telling them because they was feeling down. Oh, my hair falling out, and nobody's gonna want me after this, and their self esteem was really low. And I say, just because you can put on a wig, you can even if you don't feel like putting on a little lipstick or everything, you just gotta have that self confidence to say. And the reason why I tell them I had to look in the mirror, bald head and all, and say, Sharon, you are beautiful. Kiki, you are beautiful inside and out. So that's what I try to encourage them and tell them. Don't give up. Don't never ever say that I can't do this. Even if you're feeling bad and you're sick that day, still get up. Try to get up. Don't get dehydrated. I messed up one time and got dehydrated. Ever since
Mm-hmm.
then, I was like, I never get dehydrated again. If you can just eat watermelon, mangoes, anything that's gonna give you that water in. If you don't feel like drinking water, because they tell you to drink a lot of water, and that's why a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people come back sick because they're dehydrated, and they tell you don't get
Mm-hmm.
dehydrated. So I try to tell them, hydrate yourself. Look in that mirror and tell yourself you are beautiful. You good morning, gorgeous. Like don't ever give up. Even when it's looking, you think it's
Yeah.
gonna look bad, and we look like, oh my God. Because I remember saying, I got 4 more treatments to do. I got this. So I would come in
Mm-hmm.
there, wig on, looking all cute.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't help it because I didn't want to come in there all moping and down. Then I'm already
Yeah.
talking to this female and I'm telling her to lift yourself up, and here I am dragging in. So I will
Right.
always try to, fix myself up to go in here and know I have to do this. It's something that I had
I
to do to
love that.
live. I want to
That's
live for my
beautiful.
grandson. I got a whole grandson that I had to live for my son and my grandson. Those are my
Right.
hearts. So I had to live. I didn't want to just give up. Plenty of time I was like, Sharon, I don't think you can do this, but I was like, you got this. You got it. I would mostly like tell them about their faith.
Mm-hmm.
Like you gotta have your faith. You gotta love God. God would not turn you down. He will. If he did it for me, he can do it for you. I say, although it seems like you got all these treatments to do, but God got you. So we would talk about God a lot, and we would share
Mhm.
our stories about God. Even older people would
Mhm.
join in sometime, and we would talk about share stories about God and say, God,
Wow.
yeah, God put us on this journey for a reason. He put us on this journey for a reason. I tell him, he already walked my footsteps. He just had to come and get me so I can walk with him. So I would share things like that with them, and we would talk about mostly with God, because in there you have to have faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you
Come in
look
there
around
with
and
some
see everybody else doing
positivity.
these treatments, you got to have your faith. You gotta pray. You gotta pray.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seemed like, is he listening to me? But he's listening. And I would tell them, you just keep going, keep going, don't give up.
Yeah. You were talking about how you had like a set number of treatments. And
Yeah,
is that like normal? Do they like just look at your test results and then figure
yeah.
out like how many treatments you'll have based on that?
Yeah, it goes by your blood work and your results, and determine what stage you are, and it just goes by your blood work. So you have to come in once a week and get your blood work done. After treatments, you have to come in and get your blood work done. So it depends on your blood work, what stages you are, and he'll after that a cancer team will come in and talk with you about your diagnosis, what stage you is, and it's the treatments determined from there.
What are the different stages of breast cancer? Do you know anything about that? Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Um, I know with me, stage 2, I was, oh God,
Mhm.
I wrote it down. I can't remember because one thing I did have and still do a
Mhm.
little bit is chemo
Mhm.
fall. I can,
Mhm.
it's like something is in my head and it'll poof and go away. So I still kind of suffer from chemo fall a little bit. And I try to tell my doctor that, like, I still have, and it's called chemo fall, where you can be, I'm about to tell you something and poof, it'll just go out of my head. But it depends on your blood work. I can tell you that because I had stage, oh God, it was HER2 or something like that. But I
Mhm.
remember all of that. But I didn't write it down for you, but I
Okay.
remember
Okay.
that.
Okay, well, I'll define chemo fog for the people here. So,
Yeah,
chemo fog is also known as chemo brain. It's a
yeah,
cancer-related cognitive impairment or cognitive dysfunction. And it's a term used to describe the thinking and memory problems that can occur during and after cancer treatment.
yeah,
Wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah. I didn't. I never heard of that either, but I still have it. And before chemo, I believe in God, but after this, I know God. If He did it for little old Sharon, He could do it for anybody. That's how I feel.
That was gonna be my next question. So thank you, Miss Sharon, for sharing that. But okay, so with that said, then can you talk about like your last treatment and like when they told you that, you were in remission?
My last treatment was for my last breast cancer treatment, my chemo treatment,
Mm,
and they was like, Miss Sharon, this is gonna be your very last treatment. And I remember saying, thank you, God, thank you. Thank you, Jesus. And I remember Dr. Patel is my doctor at the Florida
mm.
Cancer Center. Dr. Patel, I love that man to death. At the
Shout out to
Florida
Dr.
Cancer Center
Patel.
on Phillips Road. And that's Dr.
Okay.
Patel out there. And I remember saying, Dr. Patel, I thank you. I thank you so much. I feel like you saved my life. I thank you. And I remember leaving there, he was like, now your next step is radiation. And I remember going over to the radiation center, and I remember Dr. Chung, who was my doctor, and he said, "Welcome back," because they had already did a. I had went over and had a consultation with him, and he was telling me, "You're gonna get here one day." And I thought I would never move over from. It's like I graduated. I thought I would never move over from the coming in there with Dr. Patel at the cancer center. Now I'm coming over
Mhm,
to the radiation. I thought I would never get here. And I remember when they put me in the machine, they measure your body and everything. And I
mhm,
remember having anxiety because I didn't want to get in this tunnel. But God
mhm,
spoke to me and say, "This is what you gotta do. You got to go in this journal. You this tunnel. You have to get in this machine." And I stayed in that
mhm,
machine for 15 minutes for 5 days a week for 7 days. And you would, and then they was, when I got finished with all of that, I had rung the little bell. And
Mhm.
I remember a girl was scared, and they was
Mhm.
like, "You need to talk to Miss Sharon, because you would not believe how she comes in here and do her treatment. She do that radiation and she's out the door." So I remember talking to the lady, holding her hand. It's like, you wouldn't believe how scared I was to get in this machine, but
Mhm.
God got you. Just pray and think of a song. Like I think of a song. I like this gospel singer named William Murphy. My God
Mhm.
is awesome, and I would sing
Okay.
songs while I'm in there. By the time I get through singing all these songs, and the machine, they pulling me out. So I remember telling her that. So the next day when I saw her, she said, "I did exactly what you told me to do," and I felt so much
Oh,
better.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Talk about support. Man, I just like how you came in, looking cute for your cancer treatments. I'm like, you gotta do that for yourself. Like,
You
especially when
have
you're going
to,
through, just take
yeah,
time to like do some self-care and throw something
yeah.
on and look cute.
I take a hormone blocker because I remember them telling me my cancer was through my hormones. All my home Oh yeah, my hormones was all out of whack. So I have to take this pill to get my estrogen. My estrogen is so high. And I have to take
Mhm.
this pill. It's a blocker, a hormone blocker. I have to take it for 5 years. It's called anastasol. I may be saying that wrong, but
Mhm.
it it throws me into premenopausal, so I can say I do know that, and it makes me
Okay.
have like hot flashes. So I'm always hot all the time, but it's not really
Mhm.
bad. But I can,
Mhm.
when I go see Dr. Patel, he was like, "Well, it's gonna make you go into menopause. Well, how are you doing with your hot flashes?" I said, "At this
Mhm.
point, I am great. I am great. I can deal
Mhm.
with it." But I take it for
Mhm.
5 years. I've been taking it now for 2 years. No, I
Okay,
have no
so
symptoms other than the hot flashes. Other than that, I do good with the pill.
okay, so that's good. So, I did talk a little bit about that. It's called estrogen dominance on the channel. So, like,
Okay.
fibroids are also a cause of estrogen dominance.
Yeah.
But what we can do as women, naturally, we're going to have estrogen, is you can take things that are good for your liver because your liver is where the estrogen gets
Yeah.
removed. So
Yeah.
if you have like a supplement or even like green leafy vegetables, they're good to like detox your liver so that way it can be as powerful as it needs to
Oh
remove that
yeah.
excess estrogen out of your body. But also, talking about estrogen, specifically breast cancer awareness, a lot of times people are getting breast cancer from these birth control pills because the birth control is estrogen and it's adding estrogen to already what you have in your body. And
Yeah.
so naturally, that will make you have an overflow of estrogen. And
Yeah.
estrogen causes things to grow. Just
Yes,
like when you're
exactly.
pregnant, and you have those hormones raising, you need that estrogen so that your baby can grow. And so
Hmm.
that's why we're seeing a lot of women with all these different ailments with like growth, because we have a high level of estrogen.
Yeah, and that was one of my
Um,
problems. Yeah, that's when he told me it's I have to take that estrogen blocker to keep the estrogen down because my it was high.
I would like for you to input anything that you want to make sure that people that are either going through this process or have gone through this process know.
Yeah, I do wanna say that, oh, and my battery about to go dead, but I just wanna
Okay.
say my journey as a 2-year breast cancer survivor, I see my sense of purpose is
Mhm.
driving me to empower other women into knowing that you can make it, you can fight, don't give up. And again, put your faith over your fear. And I just like to say that never give up. I know I keep saying it, but it's just important to never ever give up. Never give up on yourself, even when it doesn't seem good on the other side, and you can't see that because I couldn't see that at first. stage 2. I thought it was stage 4. I thought I was just finna go. So
Mhm.
I say never give up. Always fight, advocate for your body. If you know your body is you feeling different, I don't care what it is. Go to the doctor. Tell them this is what's going wrong with me. Don't walk out being knowing that this is not right. So, and that's what I did a lot of times. So I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe I should have told them that this what I got going on. But yeah, please advocate for your body. Go get the mammograms once a year. If you got small, dense breasts, ask for a 3D mammogram, and always put God first. Always. And
Yeah.
He will see you through. And your faith will see you through.
I know that's right, Miss Sharon. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Miss Sharon, for sharing your story. So this
Okay.
concludes our video on breast cancer awareness. Thank you all for tuning in and again for watching Sacred Seat TV.